Hi everybody, it's Gemma. Welcome back to Pampered Wolf and welcome to today's Foundation Friday. It's been a while since I've filmed a proper Foundation Friday, but eventually I've managed to get my hands on something that I can review for you all. It's been slightly challenging, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, I was browsing the Cult Beauty website the other day and came across this foundation, which has been recommended to me several times by members of the Wolf Pack, and I always get round to your recommendations at some point. It does take me a while though. This foundation is over a year old and it was revolutionary when it first was released. This is an oil foundation, and if you're anything like me, you will hear the words oil and foundation and go, not sure I really want to try that. And that is how I have been all the way through this, but we're gonna see how this suits my skin, whether it looks nice on my skin, how long it wears throughout the day. Today we are going to be reviewing the Kosas Tinted Face Oil. This is not going to be a first impressions review, by the way. I have tried this out on my skin several times before I'm actually filming this review, so I will have some tips and tricks on how it's best to actually wear this and how long it wears for in certain situations, so do stay tuned for that. But before I get on with a little bit of bump about this product, please make sure you have liked, you have subscribed, and you've hit on that notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. I upload on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 PM London time, and I'm also on Instagram if you want to follow me over there. It's at Pampered Wolf, all lowercase and no spaces. Let's do a little bit of bump on this. So this is the Kosas Tinted Face Oil. It's £35 in the UK. You get 30 ml worth of product, which is pretty standard. However, even though £35 is quite a lot of money for a foundation, pretty high end, you're not going to use as much product as you would use in a normal foundation. So this one is actually going to last you much, much longer than a regular 30 ml foundation would. So it's actually quite good value for money. This comes in 16 different shades, and 16 shades doesn't seem like a lot, but because this is a relatively sheer to light coverage foundation, this is going to blend in with your natural skin tone, and the 16 shades is very, very wide spectrum, so it goes from the lightest of the light all the way to the darkest of the dark, so they really have covered all bases. I've gone for the shade 3.5N, which is the shade for fair to light skin tones with a neutral undertone. This one is sheer buildable coverage. It's supposed to be weightless, very, very comfortable on the skin. This is also a clean product. Now wait for this humongous list of everything that this product does not have in it. Here we go. So this is cruelty-free, gluten-free, paraben-free, phthalate-free, mineral oil-free, propylene glycol-free, phenoxyethanol-free, synthetic fragrance-free, essential oil-free, alcohol-free, and silicone-free. And this also contains 6 really nourishing botanical oils. So this has got avocado, meadow foam, red raspberry, jojoba, camellia seed, and rosehip oil, all blended together to make a beautiful, beautiful, nourishing, really good for the skin foundation with a slight tint to this, but hopefully this will be buildable enough so that I can cover the things I want to cover, but my skin will still look really beautiful and really natural. So this also has a lot of soothing ingredients as well as some antioxidants in there as well. Like I said, no nasties. Let's get some of this on. Okay, so I already have all of my skincare on my face as per usual, and I've given that plenty of time to sink in before I'm applying any foundation to my face. Now this one says you have to shake it up before you apply it to emulsify the product before you take it out. Now I'm going to pop this directly on my fingers. I'm supposed to use around about 4 drops. Oh, that's 5. And then apply this with my fingers, which if you are a regular to my channel, you will know I really don't like doing. I don't like getting my fingers all messy, but you know, that's what it says, so we should do it as per the directions. This is supposed to be really, really quick to use. Oh, I really hate this. Just dripping down my fingers. It definitely is an easy product. Oh, now that's starting to pill a little. Let's just try and sort that out. There we go, that was short-lived. Oh, it's gone in my rings and everything. So it's not supposed to need any blending. I don't feel that that is actually the case. Although I do actually quite like it. It's going on really, really nicely. Let me just add a couple more drops in the areas that I need them. I just need a tissue to clean my hands up because this is just, ugh. This is one of those products that you don't wear rings for to apply. You put your rings on afterwards, otherwise your rings get a little gunky. It's really quite a nice consistency product. I was expecting this to be a lot oilier than it actually is. So let me just put another couple of drops on my fingers and just smooth that into the fingertips and just put a little extra where I feel I need it. Just tap that in place. So this doesn't actually feel as oily as when I originally got it I thought that it would do. I thought that this would be a really uncomfortable product to not only apply but also to wear throughout the day. And I don't feel that that is actually the case. When you emulsify this, this feels in the fingers a little bit like an oil cleanser once it's been emulsified on the face. So it's not as greasy, it's not as oily, it's not as thick. It's actually a very, very thin formula. I hope you understand what I mean. It doesn't feel really, really slippy on the skin. And it does sink into the skin. This feels really nice on. I think I'm actually going to leave it at that. I am going to put the rest of my products on and I'll be right back. So that is the finished look for today. I've gone for something really, really natural to make sure that the skin is the main component that absolutely shines within today's look. So I really like the way that this foundation looks. Obviously, we have been here before when I first applied a foundation and absolutely love it. And then all of a sudden it just goes really, really wrong throughout the day. But hopefully, fingers crossed, this is going to be pretty good. Now, I am not going to do a really long wear test on this today because this does not say that it's going to be a long wearing foundation, so I'm not expecting it to last over 8 hours. But I really, really like the way that it went on my skin. I like the simplified and very, very quick application method. Yes, I don't like getting my fingers messy, but if you only apply a couple of drops at once and then just keep applying a couple more drops, this shouldn't run down your fingers. I applied far too much at once this morning, which is why I got into a little bit of a mess. So that shouldn't happen, and maybe I just need to be a little bit more methodical with my application. But it was very, very quick, very, very easy, just a bit like applying a serum with a little bit more blending that needed to take place. Let me show you this in natural lighting. Now, this hasn't sank into any of my fine lines or wrinkles, but it has miraculously airbrushed my pores on my cheeks, which I didn't think would be possible for an oil foundation to do. But it has done that really, really beautifully. The dry bit on my nose has settled down a lot as the natural oils have got to work and really nourish that area. I do have a little bit of dryness on my forehead, which this has clung to, but I am expecting the natural oils to do their job there as well and just really soften those dry patches and make them seem a little bit less evident as the day goes on. So at the moment, really, really happy with this. Obviously, you can see that my scarring and my imperfections are poking through this foundation. This is not going to be one of those foundations that is going to cover all the secrets in your soul. This is just going to make your skin look a better version of itself. It's just evened everything out beautifully, and my skin still looks like skin, which I absolutely love. Another thing that I really like that I didn't think I was going to like is the consistency of this product. My skin doesn't feel like it has a heavy product on. It doesn't feel like it's got an oil on there at all. It's not slippy. There is a little bit of tackiness still. Now, I have powdered this down, and I powdered it down right at the very end after I'd applied all my other products. The only thing that was slightly difficult to apply on top of this was my bronzer, which I used a powder bronzer. In hindsight, maybe I should have used a cream bronzer on top of this so not to dislodge any of the product on the skin, but I did want want to try a powder product to see how it went on. It's gone on beautifully. I blended it out absolutely fine, but it just took that little bit longer. I've used a cream blush and that was just effortless to blend out on the top of this, and then I powdered things in place after I'd applied all of those products, and the powder looks absolutely fantastic, nothing wrong with it. But again, if you don't want to use a powder with this foundation, you don't have to. So it's not one of those foundations that feels really uncomfortable until you've powdered it down. I've just powdered this area here on my nose and on my chin and a tiny bit in between my brows. I've left everywhere blank. So we're going to see how this wears today. I'm really liking it, so fingers crossed this does really, really well. See you all in a bit. Welcome back to the check-in. It's now been well over 8 hours actually since I first applied this foundation to my face. I completely lost track of time. I'm really sorry I didn't do check-ins before now. Anyway, it's done really well. My final thoughts are, I don't think this would do well on a really oily skin. You do need to control the amount of moisture in the skin to be able to wear this successfully. However, if you do have an oily skin and you absolutely love this, then do let everybody know, please, in the comment section below. It's absolutely freezing, by the way, and I am not turning on the heating. I am being very stubborn, heels in the ground. It's July, for goodness sake. I am not putting the heating on, but I have put a cardigan on. Anyway, back to the foundation. So the products held up okay on my face. The foundation has held up really well, and I will show you this in natural lighting, but the blush completely disappeared after around about 4 hours, so I did have to reapply a little bit of cream blush. I haven't reapplied any of the powder bronzer because I didn't want to lift or hinder the foundation around those areas, so I haven't reapplied that, but it is looking... I'm looking a little pale. I could do with a little bit more colour, so I have had to reapply the blush. So it wasn't a great base for that. But let me show you this in natural lighting to see how this foundation is actually worn on my skin, because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. So as you can see, the dryness on my nose has completely disappeared. It's not gone patchy anywhere. There are some parts of the foundation that have slightly lifted. This is not a transfer resistant or transfer proof foundation. It never claims to be. It also isn't a long lasting foundation. It never claimed to be that either, but I think it's lasted a really nice amount of time and it still looks really natural on my skin, which I really like. It did slightly collect in my smile lines around my mouth after around about 2 hours, but I did apply this with my fingers as you saw, and usually when I'm applying a foundation I will go over it with a blending sponge and remove any excess product from around those problematic areas, and I obviously didn't do that today, and that's something that I will have to do in the future to avoid that from happening. I didn't actually go over it with a sponge after this happened. I literally just tapped it back in with my fingers and it was absolutely fine, and I haven't had to do that again throughout the day. So I guess that's the other way of dealing with that sort of problem, is just patting it in with the fingers and then it's absolutely fine. This hasn't felt overly tacky or overly heavy on my skin throughout the day. In fact, it hasn't felt heavy at all. It's felt very, very weightless. Like I haven't got any foundation on at all, and if I touch my face, this doesn't lift overly on the hands, but again, this is not transfer resistant. A little bit of a tip to make this last longer. This has obviously got so many beautiful, nourishing oils in there, and you need to look at this foundation as another step in your skincare. So if you would usually apply a really nourishing moisturizer, I wouldn't do that day when you're using this foundation. Just use a very light moisturizer if you want to use a moisturizer at all, SPF, and then apply this on top, and you'll find that this is so beautiful and so nourishing and moisturizing, you won't need that extra step in your skincare routine, and that's how to make it last a little longer. If I apply a really heavy moisturizer underneath my SPF, I find that this just slips off my face because I'm just applying too much nourishment to my skin, and it gets a little oily throughout the day, a little patchy, and it just disappears. If I don't do that step, it lasts so much longer. Another tip to make this last longer and to make it apply even more beautifully is to not mix this with any heavy silicone products. This is an oil, they conflict, they're not going to sit well on each other. You can use a silicone primer, but make sure that it's not a very heavy silicone primer, otherwise this won't sit well on the surface. If you have used this already and you have a really good experience with a specific primer, do list it below. I'm not a big one for primers. I haven't used a primer today, so it would be really useful for the rest of the wolf pack to know that information. So if you have used this with a specific primer and got really excellent results, then please do list it in the comments section. So all in all, I really like this. I've loved the easy application. I'm getting used to using my fingers a little bit more, although with other foundations that are thicker in texture, I definitely won't be doing that with those. But with this one, it's very simple, very quick and easy to apply. I'm going to continue to wear this. I think it looks really beautiful on my skin. It isn't going to be for everybody. The level of coverage that this gives, some people are just going to think, what's the point in putting anything on your skin? I really like it. It's my comfort zone, and I love the fact that the ingredients in here are kind and nourishing to the skin. There are no nasties in here at all, and for a clean product, I feel like it's really quite affordable, especially how many applications I'm going to get out of one bottle. So I really do like it, and I am going to continue to wear it. This is not going to be one of those foundations that I'll pick up if I already know I'm going to have a really long, busy, hectic day where I'm going to be running from here, there and everywhere. This foundation just isn't going to last on me personally. This may last really well on other people, but me, it doesn't last for the long run. So this is going to be one of those foundations that I'll pick up if I'm going for an evening out with Wes, because when I go out with Wes for maybe a meal or go to the pictures, I want to look like a polished version of me, but I still want to look super natural and really classy. And this does that in spades. It looks beautiful. It's a very regal foundation. It looks super natural, but very beautiful. Absolutely stunning. So if I know I'm going for an evening out and I don't need my foundation to last more than 6 hours, this is the one that I will now be reaching for. I really like it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Do let me know what you thought about it in the comments section below. Have you tried this foundation already? Did you absolutely love it? Do you absolutely hate it? Are you a little bit indifferent? Do let everybody know your thoughts and experiences in the comment section, and let's get some conversation going. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope to see you all in the next one. Bye everyone.